So now, how do I pronounce your name properly?
Renata.
With an R?
Yes, Renata.
Oh, because it looked like you had. That's good. Lenata. So it's
No, Renata
with an R. Good. Thank you.
with an R. Yes,
Okay, Renata with
Nata.
A at
Huh?
the end. Got it. Renata, right?
Well, in German it's Renate, but nobody in America can say that. They call me Renate. That's why I tell them Renata. You can say Renate.
I want to say Renati with an E, right?
Yes,
Okay,
Renate.
that's good because you should be called correctly. Renate with an A, then TE, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now we got it right. And Behrens is a German name. I knew a
Yeah,
guy
I
who
had a friend. That's a name from North Germany, from Hamburg, Bremen area, and they have spread all over the world. Like the Germans are everywhere.
are you familiar with Omnek Onek?
No,
Omnek Onek spent most of her time in Germany. She
oh
was
really?
brought here from another world and took the
Uh-huh.
place of a little girl and a family in Georgia, someplace in the South, hick country, really.
Hmm.
And she was brought here in a way that, well, most unusual. Was not She did not have an easy life. She's still around. She had a stroke. She's recovered from it. She's
Wow.
elderly now, but her publisher in Liechtenstein and her contacted me. I had written to her. Um, and she had put out a book about her journey. She was on Jerry Springer decades ago, and they just tried to ridicule her and all that. She was a very brave soul. But she
Hmm.
was brought here by a master teacher, and her uncle had to go to a city called Agam in the Himalayas. I'm very familiar with it. To
Wow.
go through a process to even tolerate the negative energy that's in the atmosphere of this planet. Beings
Yeah.
who come here have to go through a process of being molecularly prepared, and then they have the ability to disguise themselves in a way that is common for them so that they can move amongst people if they have to do a dangerous mission like come to Earth with people on Earth and not be known. They just walk into a restaurant and order something, sit down, you'd never know it unless they want you to
Yeah.
know.
Well, the same with you, no?
Yeah,
I'm
well, me though, I'm public. I'm
Yes, but how do you feel on this earth when you come from a much better place?
quite.
Do you feel like a human, like a real human, or do you just I don't know how to say that.
Well, I don't relate to myself as a human because I'm an Atma.
Yeah.
And so are
Sure.
you. Hovering above your head is you. The body is just an advanced biological mechanism, a machine, really. It doesn't function as a machine as in mechanics or electronics, but that's what it is. It's a biological entity. The Say rays, like Ambassador Trellian, their race developed us and many other races, the bodies, in order to have the Atma they are run higher faculties through them. And that was the way they were supposed to work. So that beings could go into different dimensions on the lower planes and experience things tactily and see and smell and taste and all that. And then over time, get insights into ways to run the lower dimensions better than they've ever run. The problem with that is very long ago, people coming into the lower worlds started getting so involved in what I call the failed experiment of good and evil, because it is a failed experiment. It didn't work. That's what
Mm.
we're living in now. And so you have beings that people worship that are sadists, sadistic. They just as soon send you back and put you in another body and watch the entertainment. But that's not the way that the beings above the void are. There's no negative nature there. But that doesn't mean they were motivated to change anything. People on Earth don't know who they are. This is everybody, all 8 billion. A couple of exceptions. And that's mostly because of this work and the people that I work with that are not from Earth and what they're doing now. So the Saver's Agenda book is about what is changing out amongst the cosmos that never happened before, that affected them to actually even care about stopping us whether we blow ourselves up. If you catch my drift.
Mm-hmm.
Ambassador Trullian was pretty much instrumental in this. However, his race went through a change. They had seeded human and humanoid and bipedal life and spacefaring races for several billions of years uh, in both the physical universe and the astral universe, which is the next major division up, where all emotion comes from. And when they were done, they backed away and disappeared to see what people would do with it. Consider them co-creators with the source behind all life, which is completely blanked out in the memory of people on Earth now. Even the Galactic Alliance, as paradisical as their worlds are compared to Earth, and they are, we're not journeying back across the void to complete why they exist, which is the great age-old question: why do we exist? There is only one actual answer, one correct answer. We exist to become trustworthy co-creators with the source behind all life. Not its worshippers, not its slaves, co-creators. Because the omnipresent power in space that people pray to, that 0 point energy or toroidal energy or energy of the universe, which does not work like the laws of physics. It is an energy, a living energy that supports all of this, but it is not part of it. It is behind it. It's like a source of energy to maintain it. There are beings called silent mentors that are the mechanics of creation. Very few people even know of them. The Galactic Alliance knew of them from 500 million years earlier, 500,000 years earlier and beyond that, when they showed themselves a little bit here and there, but they're pretty much the Say rays are mentored by the silent mentors. Silent mentors are the mechanics of the universe. They run planets and galaxies and moons and suns and stars. There's actual beings behind that. The doorways between dimensions, between planes, they maintain those. They have not had, in several hundred billion years in Earth terms, any need to interrelate or interact with us. It's not their job to educate and enlighten Atmas. Master teachers, what they're referred to, that's their job. So they weren't really interacting. There is a place that was brought into creation called the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. And it is created in a special parallel dimension between the fifth realm of Satnam, that's the first major godly being, above the void, beyond what Buddhist monks think. They think that's God because it's a pale blue infinite area, but it doesn't appear to have anything in it. So they say, that's it, that's God. It's not right at all. That is a barrier between the upper realities and the lower realities. It serves to keep, it's made of pure hue, first half of the word human, hidden in plain sight, by the way, on Earth. And I will get into what that does, but it's a barrier. You can't bring any negative nature there at all. No negative emotions or thoughts. You can't even bring bodies there. You can go there, but that body cannot. So this is one thing. And then when you go there, anything that's subconscious, any fear, any negative nature is left turned off with the sleeping body. You put your body in the trance state called sleep every single night, just like everybody on Earth, including animals, which are being terribly abused by people here. Animals have atmas running them through the pineal gland in them. Animals are the way they are on Earth because of what people are. They need to follow the next higher order of being, and people on Earth are not normal or natural at all. Not even close. The way they are, having been born here with no memory of what they knew, where they came from, why they're here, how they got there, or what their destiny is, leaves them vulnerable to be manipulated by artificially created things like fear. Fear was created by tyrant beings out beyond Earth, and by certain beings in the upper realities below the void. Some of them people worship right now. It's okay, but here's the thing: you can't blame anyone. You can't blame a Satan, because as Atmas, we're made of an energy that is identical to the source itself, completely identical, like a spherical drop of water in an entire ocean of it. That's what we are. People on Earth don't even know what they look like. They call it soul, they believe in it, they have faith in something, but it actually has a structure, and it doesn't look like this at all. What we are, in the image of the Creator, if you want to put it that way, is spherical, and it's energy, and it has structure. It's on the front cover of the Emerald Doorway book for the first time for people on Earth, even for the Galactic Alliance. That originally copyrighted image that took care to create with a special artist is actually what you look like when you don't have one of those. It's not an astral body. It's not transparent and looks like this. It's not astral travel. You are a being who's running 5 different bodies of different higher molecular time rate bodies on different planes right now that you've been made terrorized to forget. You have an astral body. It's a different life there. It lives much longer. It's made of higher molecular matter. It's still in the physical universe. There's 144 parallel dimensions in each of these major divisions. 144 Earths that you don't even know about, like in layers on layers. The more advanced races from the stars that know how to work with this omnipresent hue, this first sound behind creation that's under and behind everything, they know how to advance and go beyond the speed of light and develop anti-gravitic capability because they work with it in harmony, or they could not know how to do it. So we're playing with rocket ships with explosive fuel that are a waste of time because they will never be able to travel fast enough or far enough to get out in the cosmos. They require fuel and oxygen to burn it in a limited capacity. It's just not possible. So radioactive materials that are man-made and altered were not developed on Earth. The Nazi scientists were not smarter. Neither was Hitler. Little gray guys at the time were abducting people on this planet, and some reptilian race was in control of them at the time. Very few ever came here. Very few ever came here. But they did some nasty stuff and experimenting on people and doing things. But I wanted to share with you that all of that has been stopped more than 25 years ago now on this planet. They were removed from Earth and our solar system, and they were removed from bases underground, and the UFO and extraterrestrial disclosure communities are 25 years behind what's really going on now. They're still living from the past that is no longer occurring. What is happened is that what has happened to people, world leaders and religious leaders, are making decisions every day based on subconsciously influenced fear they don't even know they have. When you make decisions based on fear, that's negative. It has repercussions in space-time, and the outcome or result of that is always destructive, and no other outcome can come from it. So when you think about this, there isn't any way in hell, meaning Earth to some degree, that masses of people on Earth have enough awareness to change their self-destructive direction in time. They don't. That's quite impossible. They'll annihilate all life here. They tried. A number of times I know of personally, during the Cold War with the Soviet Union, they tried to blow us up 12 separate times.
Not allowed.
Well, no, it was shut down from space. Their launch computers were turned off. Now,
right.
So, that's not something as a government, and you have military and classified people in competition with other countries on fear. They don't want to tell people that, especially after World War II, because how are you going to inspire people to be baby boomers and rebuild a destroyed world unless they feel safe? So 35 countries agreed to people lit on that whole extraterrestrial issue because they knew. Well, here's what they didn't know. The Nazi scientists were given a science illegally off-world, snuck in here. They did not develop nuclear technology. They weren't smarter. They were just the right kind of people that a certain race wanted to wipe out 3/4 of the population. Hitler wanted to do that. 3/4 of the population. But he wasn't in control of himself any more than his scientists. They were being manipulated subconsciously. And as you know, they lost the war because something happened from off-world that, let's just say, races from the stars intervened to the degree to make sure that that war ended the way it did. They didn't want to take over governments. They don't now. They don't want to come down here and rule. Who would want that baggage garbage? 60 different countries all fighting with each other and religions at each other's throats. There is no religion represented on this earth that is out there in space on more advanced worlds. None.
That- that-
And when you know that, you're really way ahead of the crowd. Um, okay, this is important. Secondary implants and primary implants are not in the physical body at all. They're not in your
Mhm.
brain, they're not in your nervous system. It's not a little electronic chip under the skin. That was a classified people in this country mostly that were experimenting with a technology to monitor, and they implanted these in some people without their permission. It was very corrupt. They did it out of desperation. They were doing this to try to reverse what was done to them. Because when World War II ended, the Nazi scientists had this more advanced understanding of science in some ways that they didn't earn. Were brought into Russia and the United States. And Werner von Braun was brought here, pardoned as an SS dedicated officer with Hitler. He killed lots of people, millions, helped to do it. So they pardoned him, put a little German town together, brought the
Mhm.
scientists over, set him up, and put him the head of NASA. But he was also the head of a classified space program that ran parallel to NASA that was never meant for the public.
Mm.
So that's what happened there. But the problem is their, I don't want to call it psychic, I guess you could call it that. Their connection to certain tyrant extraterrestrials came to the United States and Russia with these scientists. And then we
Mhm.
got the bag of garbage. And they didn't know how to get out of it. They were stuck with it. In other words, they wanted to get technology without earning it. They wanted it just to use it and develop weapons and stuff. They hadn't gone through the discipline to earn it themselves.
Mm.
Races from the stars. Nuclear bombs and radioactive materials is technology that's probably 1 billion years old, probably older. It's not new. We didn't develop it. Did you ever notice how everything changed after World War II technologically overnight?
Mhm.
Fiber optics, carbon fiber metallurgy for stealth aircraft. They found miles of these fiber optic cables inside the outer hull of one of the ships in Roswell. They put
Yeah.
a little computer chip in it. It's still more advanced than we can produce today, this one little chip.
Yeah. Just think Tesla, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah,
Think
Tesla
pyramids,
was, the problem with Tesla was he was right about everything, but he was wrong about how you work with people on Earth because
he couldn't.
they saw him coming a mile away. J.P. Morgan, he comes in, he says, "Oh, I can run electricity for free without wires." I says, "Great, great. I'll talk to you tomorrow. See you later." Cut off his
Yeah.
phone, gave it all to Edison because they want to make money off
Well,
it.
of course.
So Tesla was
Right.
naive in this way. Brilliant, but
Brilliant. That's what brilliant people are. They just are too nice and too
well,
trusting.
it's because they're nice people. Brilliant people, real brilliant people are very nice people. I'm nice people,
Yeah.
but
You're
I'm not,
right.
but I'm not naive. So there's the difference. So
Yeah.
we're doing something now, even though your eyes are not closed yet. You don't have to be. I'm spending extra time with you. I did this with
Thank
Virgil as well because we're gonna head this towards, and you'll trust me. When we go through removing these secondary implants, I don't do it personally.
you. I
Understand?
know.
People who have never been born on earth with no subconscious minds, they do it because they want mistakes I might make. This body was grown up here. I was stuffed into it when it was 3 against my will. Don't think I
Mm.
feel alone because everybody on earth had this done to them one time or another. It's important that you know that you've probably heard this already, but personally, the telepathic way that keeps it awake in you is different when it's one on one than you watching one of the videos on YouTube. That just opens the door for people to get the courage to come this way. That means it's opening the door for people to get the courage to want to embrace a greater God, to embrace the whole multidimensional creation and everyone and everything that's in it. Because if they don't do that, they aren't loving or respecting what they think God is anyway. They're stuck on Earth with this tiny little planet thinking they're the elitists of getting saved by somebody. There's no one coming back here to save anybody. You can't
No.
tell anybody that. So they have, and I can't blame people. I'm not against any religions on this planet. I want to help them have real light and life come into them so they're alive. They're dead religions right now because all people have is faith and belief. And behind faith and belief is fear and doubt. They're married. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to leave all that behind. Faith should lead, when you have courage, to direct experience and direct knowing. Because you're capable of this as an Atma. When fear is not there, you automatically know how to do it. You always have. That's what this journey is about. Implants cannot be removed by anybody on this planet. There are people in Thailand claiming they'll remove secondary implants they took from my work. Not really my work. And they're saying,
Image.
yeah, we'll give you a free secondary implant. Just buy $5,000 of our other courses.
Exactly.
They're
That's the
corrupt.
American way.
And I don't do anything with these people. Perry was concerned about it. I said, look, leave them alone. I put
Yeah.
enough out on these journeys to let those people know that they don't have the right to do it. They were not given permission to do it, and they haven't had the training to do it, and they can't do it because they're implanted and they're in Earth's atmosphere. Everything that was done to people, by people, to plants, to animals, in the history of life coming to this world goes back 65 million years to the end of the big dinosaurs. Where is that missing history for you? You were there. Where's your galactic history? Your multidimensional history? They're all shut down and turned off in a lot of ways before you were even implanted. Just in billions of years of journey from the lower world, getting caught up in what we call the experiment of good and evil. And
Mm.
it was something we all created together from the source before the lower worlds of time and space were even built. So I do this every time, but this is a telepathic thing. It means as a spherical being, I'm communicating with you as a spherical being. And I'm going to shut your microphone off because we get feedback and we'll get a better recording quality. If you need to turn it on to say something, go ahead, but I'll shut it off from here. Okay, then we won't get the static. So everything that's ever been done to people is still recorded in Earth's atmosphere. It is not allowed to and cannot go out in space. That space is not a void. There's no oxygen. It's not for human bodies. But it is a single power, a living conscious energy. It's not an individual like us, and it comes from the source, which is not an individual like us either. This is wrong that people worship something and put it on a pedestal so far away they can never reach it. It's always receding away from them. They're worshiping it. The source itself, the real source, never required us to worship it. Only know it and respect it and each other. People on Earth are not doing this at all, anywhere. They think they are, but they're not. They're limiting God to a planet in one atmosphere. How stupid is that? You couldn't be dumber than a brick. A brick is smarter than that. So, but people, the intelligence they have, the IQ, the ability to comprehend in people is simply dormant. Shut off long ago, or terrorized so that when you try to approach remembering, this thing plays in your nervous system and you get steered away. You go watch a movie, you do something else instead of waking up, instead of remembering. Everybody on earth is suffering from this, and then they die in fear and they're compelled to come back and incarnate here. The omnipresent power that supports the universe is a co-creator. It's unbiased, unprejudiced. If you imagine opposing forces, which people on earth do every day, everyone, like this: positive, I love my family and friends, everything's good, I'm afraid of the future and the present. These are opposing energies that ground each other like short-circuiting a battery. It grounds the energy into the earth, and they stay stuck here at half power. They can't get anywhere. We're meant to run a pure energy, which we're made of as well, combined like the yin and yang symbol. We'll teardrop around each other circling, another energy through it. Then we imagine what's good for all life, including ourselves. And it is the power that brings it into manifestation. We don't. People don't manifest what they imagine. The one hue power does this. As an Atma, we don't have the power to manifest great wealth or great anything. People are deluded into this thinking their egos are doing it, but this power will manifest good and bad or both in whatever measure, because that's what it does. There's an element running through this one power now that was never there before, about 9 Earth years ago or so. And it's called the U expansion ray, and it has a function to move through the omnipresent force and begin to undo what was done to people, particularly having subconscious minds, because we're not meant to have one at all. Anything that's subconscious you don't know about can be manipulated to affect you or maneuver you without your awareness. What makes people terrorized to know it is fear. Fear is artificially created. So this is the reason people, they don't have the technology or the training to remove secondary implants. I've done it. I don't do it. I choose not to do it, because I want beings who have never been born here, who I co-create with, who respect each other. We've worked for decades and decades together, not just in this life, but particularly during this life in a more concentrated way. I originally came here to talk with leaders of countries, particularly the U.S., to offer a way to change this planet back in 1950. It was turned down out of fear. They just got nuclear weapons. They're building them. They've got threats overseas. Boy, there's these beings. They're really uplifting, but my God, they have technology. They could come here and kick our ass in 5 minutes and take over the world. They were required to give up all man-made, altered, perverted nuclear energy technology that's radioactive, including bombs, and then they would be given everything at no cost. They were turned down, and they were turned down many times since. But today in the United States, what people call disclosure has begun this year for the first time, after 70 years. It means Congress has passed laws that are interviewing top classified people, NSA and even higher organizations, between a group of scientists of NASA panel and a group of NSA panel, and it's open. I've even watched it. You can find it. They're interviewing these people to say, okay, yeah, we did recover a craft in Roswell. Yes, it was extraterrestrial. We did recover bodies. We've been reverse engineering all this stuff ever since. There are 80 races coming to this planet. That's out in the open now. That's a timid, shy way of getting off an old bad habit. The reason they're doing it isn't because of their own will. It's because the beings I work with, and the huge organizations of worlds, have told certain leaders on this planet that they will annihilate all life the way they're going, and it would be unavoidable. They know it without a doubt. Wouldn't be the first time it's happened on this planet either. So they were simply told that if they don't disclose by a certain time, it will be done for them without their assistance. Ooh, that would embarrass some leaders terribly, wouldn't it? And also the masses of people need to be able to know this without panicking and rioting in the streets and hoarding toilet paper and paper towels like they did with COVID. What about massive landing of ships all over the planet to fix this place? Oh, everybody's freaking out and shooting everything. They're shooting everything now. Okay. This is something that's changed. The Savior's Agenda is a awareness expanding, multidimensional doorway opening book. The Hue is connected to it, especially the new element runs through those books. They were helped develop. I had to do all the work of writing and publishing them. It took decades. But I had help from Torellian and other beings in order to arrange them to be what they are. There's 4. Savior's Agenda, unlike any other book on earth, has special techniques in the back that deal with helping people to get off their ass and co-create recovering their own freedom. The Parallel Time Trilogy, starting with the Emerald Doorway, has on the cover what is called the Ancient One. That was 100,000 years ago, what's on that cover. And I was the being hovering on a disc called Calum at that time. I first met Etta and Din 100,000 years ago. They have been dearest buddies of mine ever since. These are great beings. They're not human, but they are just adorable. And master teachers too, but they're not human. So you're going to find them on this journey. Ambassador Trellian, well, he'll present himself as an 18-foot tall being, but it's really the big, beautiful Atma hovering above it that he is. And it's made of energy, these body forms, that can see and touch and taste and smell if they want. It's not a genetic molecular body. It is a projection of pure hue from the core of their being that they can use to identify themselves and see other people. This is something you've always known how to do. When you project who you are as an Atma and know it, which you're going to do up in space, outside of that negative atmosphere, in the pure hue, which is what space is. It is divine spirit. That whole thing is right there. People have no idea that's what it is. They don't have any idea that it goes up through the planes as one energy, supporting everything. Multi-dimensional. Just vast beyond belief. The reason you can comprehend this under the right conditions and your IQ goes through the roof is because you, like everyone else, helped create this mess. We're responsible for it. Bitching about it will not change it. We have to help change it. The problem is beings that have gone down into the lower worlds to run bodies over billions of years have even lost awareness of how to get back to where they came from. The original agreement from Source was that we would go down, get experience, and return to upload into it new ways we have of insights of changing things. The problem is people were not doing that. Not even Galactic Alliance people were going that far. That's just for the Milky Way galaxy. There are billions of them on 144 levels before you even get to the astral plane. How are you going to comprehend that as a brain and body and personality you grew up with in this life? You can't. It's impossible. But you, the Atma, can do this. So in you is built in the ability to circumnavigate the entire multidimensional creation. The organization of world systems, one of two in this galaxy, that is present and coming to this earth, represent 450 million spacefaring world systems. It's called the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds. It is not a Star Trek Federation. There are not going to ever be radioactive warp core driven spaceships 2,000 years from now. Because outside of this planet, that's illegal. Nobody uses that terrible, dangerous nonsense. You don't need to split an atom artificially to get energy. The energy's there everywhere available. They have to know how to utilize it properly. They don't need to do that. So nuclear bombs and all that were banned a long time ago out in galactic history. And if we want to play among the stars, just in the physical universe, running bodies, number one, we need to know what we are that isn't one. Because the beings you're going to meet know that. They've known it from birth. Are you still there or are you getting distracted? Okay. We haven't, so I want you to close your eyes. Because when you close your eyes, you are shutting off the brain in that part that picks up any input from the atmosphere of the planet. And when you do it, unbeknownst to you, you're opening a doorway in the pineal gland, the center of the brain. You, the Atma, hovering above that body, is what's making that body run. It does not run itself. Human bodies do not run themselves. They need an external power source connected to the pineal gland. And this is how you run it. It's a complex process, but you're a master at it. Everybody on earth is, even the worst terrorist. But they think and imagine in negative ways. So they surround themselves, the omnipresent you gives them what they want. It destroys their bodies eventually, of course. And in wars and killing and dying and blown apart and torture and mutilation and nasty nonsense. As long as people are raising animals that are run by animals and slaughtering and eating them, they will be trapped on this earth because it's just plain negative stupidity. Beings in other worlds do not raise masses of animals. They do not kill them. They do not eat them. Do you really think someone comes here in a spaceship from, say, Norexilum carrying steaks and dead cow parts in refrigerators so they can eat them on the way? How about no? I do not tell people to be a vegetarian. I don't eat seafood or animals, nor will I take part in killing them, because I know what's running them, and it's the same as me. That cat in that picture in my room is Starlight. That little guy was the most beautiful, pure being I've ever known, and he wasn't even human. And he's on the Atma plane with Satnam now having a ball because I brought him there when he passed away in front of me. I miss him terribly, but I would rather he be there than down here just to satisfy me. I'd rather go see him. I don't want him to come back here. He does not, because of where I took him, he doesn't have to reincarnate here. He doesn't have to become a human and learn gradually. He's getting all that up there. That's the easy way. On many worlds in just our Milky Way galaxy, there are planets that have types of animals that the beings know they're an Atma hovering above their own human body, and the animals have vocal cords and they talk with them. People know this, remember it way back in their consciousness somewhere. They know that what they're doing on this earth is just wrong. But they're creatures of addicted, subconsciously driven habit. And they can't change that. A person cannot remove secondary implants on Earth by themselves. In fact, they can't be removed on Earth in the atmosphere of Earth. Not now. Later, not now. So, when we go up and meet these beings, when you imagine someone you respect and love, you're grateful they are in your life, a person, place, or thing, this should be something that makes you smile inside. That's all that's required. So simple. Everybody knows how to daydream. Everybody on Earth imagines going to the store, to the bank, to visit their relatives, and the body follows. But they don't know that they're this other energy, this other being not made of matter, that's running the body to do that. So if you don't get trained and you're not aware of imagining going among the stars so their planets are traveling in other dimensions on the omnipresent power that is not nuclear, atomic, or made of molecules, and you're comprised of the same thing, you can travel on that instantly anywhere. It is the energy behind the limits of time and space and matter, and it has no such limits at all. So when we begin to imagine a bigger God and greater life out in the universe, we begin to embrace it. And then everything changes. Everything. When I escort you at some point, either one-on-one or in a group journey, we go much further than secondary implants. We go out into the cosmos, up through the planes, up to Satnam's realm, means true name, first sound, first being you might see in any form that appears human, doesn't have a human body. And the Atma is bigger than us and more bright. He goes with us and hangs with us on these journeys. Why would a being like that people don't even know exists anymore come down and hang out in space to observe what's going on in these secondary implant removal journeys? Well, it's because even he has changed for the first time. Up there. If you don't change something in the upper realities and help to do it, it cannot ever change down here. And unless we work with the silent mentors for the first time, who can actually alter things like keep Earth's poles from ever flipping again, which they've already done, then you don't solve that problem either. But they are so powerful, they're so advanced, the only place they can work with us for our benefit, and us with them, master teachers, is in the U Expansion Ray Academy. And that doesn't exist in the lower worlds at all. It can't. It exists above the void where there is no negative nature whatsoever. And you can't bring anything higher except you. So you imagine being near the ceiling, daydream it, and looking down on your body. Piece of cake. It's easy. It's just like imagining going to the store. And then you look to your left and right and you realize there's Shantiel and Tonaltiel standing beside you. These are 6 foot tall extraterrestrial human beings. They're about 250. The woman's 360 years old. They live to be thousands of years if they wish. Because the science they have outside of Earth, which is ancient, they know that the genomes on DNA are switches turned on and off by precise sound frequencies. I'm giving you a secret here. When they use technology, understand this, when they pilot spacecraft with anti-gravitic drives, they must be telepathically connected to the vehicle to do it from the Atma through the body they're running, or it won't work. Because the Atma can comprehend multidimensional travel. A human brain in one body on any planet cannot do that. And there cannot be subconscious mind influences when you do that, because you could just have a sudden fear and drive your ship right into a mountain. There are beings on Earth that were test pilots that tried this with reverse engineered anti-gravitic drives and killed themselves. So they can drive these triangular ships and other things out in space, but they can't go outside the solar system. In fact, they're limited in where they can go at all, because space is already occupied by far more advanced races. This is a shock that people on Earth are going to have to grow up and get used to, because it's not what they think. It's not what they think at all. The Hugh expansion ray and the Galactic Alliance that runs just under half of the worlds in our Milky Way galaxy is also in harmony with another race of beings that run a little more than half of it on the other side. They are a race called the Xentronamus on Xentronomon 1, central planet. The central governing planet near the galactic core of this galaxy for the Galactic Alliance is called Xentronomon 1. Zetronomy 1, I'm sorry. Zetronomy 1. Xentronomon 1 is the homeworld of the Xentronamus race. You'll find out about them. They are 10-foot tall human beings with ivory-colored, moonstone-colored skin. Silver hair to their shoulders, looks like silver metal, but it's soft. Violet eyes. They move like swans. Longer necks, longer fingers, longer feet, longer torsos, but they're elegant, and this beautiful atmosphere hovers above them. When I introduce you to this mated couple, you'll be seeing a body representation of pure energy on one of these journeys that they have on their home world. Those bodies were immortalized and are over 3.5 million years old. They do not have overpopulated worlds. Understand this. Earth is terribly overpopulated. To solve Earth's problems, some of those people will be moved to other worlds that are being prepared, because there's not supposed to be more than 500 million on any big world. Earth is 1/4 the size of these planets where these beings come from. They are in trinary sun systems. That means there's 3 suns, or 2 binary. That scientists on Earth know most of the suns now that make up the Milky Way galaxy are binary or trinary. Our nearest star is a binary sun system. And the planets that revolve around such systems have a different effect on human life and genetics completely. They're inhabited planets have no polar ice caps, for one. So we're getting some of this information out of the way because it prepares you properly for what we're going to do, which is simply done out in space. Chantal and Tonatiuh, at least long blonde hair to their shoulders, they're wearing a kind of a blue-gray Galactic Alliance slip-on uniform. There's a Galactic Alliance symbol on their right chest, silver galaxy, 4-sided golden pyramid, quartz cap, and 3 blue stars above it. All right, so these beings, who you should not consider as just extraterrestrial alien humans, they're also master teachers, highly trained. Beings on these worlds, by the time they're 10, have the equivalent education at 10 of 10 PhDs on a person on Earth. And I don't think there's anybody on Earth with 10 of them anyway. Their photographic memories, they're telepathic, they have vocal cords, of course. They have 4-stranded DNA, not 2. The Sayres have 12-stranded DNA, or they did. So they're standing beside you, and now you're at 10,000 feet in the atmosphere, and look, they're still there. What they're doing is keeping your secondary and primary implants turned off with your body that is in the trance state we call sleep right now. You are master at this. You know how to put that body to sleep every night. The difference is, with me involved with my voice and my training, the telepathic arrangement allows you to follow this and stay conscious as we progress out in space. Because you were not taught to do this growing up. It's not psychologically in your makeup to be able to do it effortlessly. So we have to rehabilitate that ability. The best way to do that is for me to show you what things look like, basic things on these journeys. Because then you'll know how to visualize them and the hue will take you there in your own efforts. But it's required. If you don't imagine going above the void, meeting Satnam, or going to the U Expansion Ray Academy, or going to the source, the ocean of sound and light, you will not get there, ever. We're required to co-create this with source energy. It's part of our basic function as an Atma. People on Earth have been terrorized to fear this. People pray to God and want to see God, but they don't really want to see it face to face. They're terrorized of it. Oh, if I see God and they do the wrong thing, I get a pitchfork in my ass and sent to hell. That's in their programming, so they don't want to meet it. They want to get a free ride and play on some cloud with their naked butt sitting on a cloud playing a harp and picking flowers. And they think that's heaven. No, it's not. In the upper realities, people work all the way. There's no fatigue, no tiredness, no night, no day, because there are no moons or planets or suns there. Everything there creates its own light, is its own light. So this is where changing things in the lower worlds like planet Earth takes place first, or it will not change here. Your being aware of this begins to make you a co-creator with this whole thing, because it's your nature. Next thing you know, you're in space, in a circle of beings standing around Ambassador Trillian, and in the distance is the planet Earth with the polar ice caps and blue oceans and land masses and this meteor cratered moon that's circling the planet and does not turn on its axis at all. Completely wrong, totally unnatural. The effect of Earth's gravity and the sun and other planets should have it turning. It does not turn at all. And that is a problem for people on Earth because it affects the water in your bodies and the water in the oceans in a more negative way. Earth's oceans are depleted. They should be glowing with the hue a foot above the water. On normal planets, this is what you'll find. There's some charge left in the equator where people feel good in Hawaii, but that's about it. So Earth needs to be fixed in many ways. Not only do the toxins have to be neutralized, which is a piece of cake for the Galactic Alliance, by the way. Systems for taking care of waste and excrement are never put back into their water systems. For the bodies, they have devices which transform those things on a molecular level into useful products, change them, literally. They don't have that pollution there. They would not tolerate it. So when I say to you out here that Earth people that live in other worlds are so vastly different than people on Earth they couldn't even comprehend imagining it, I'm not kidding. And to them, the Shantial and Tontial, that's just normal. If one of them landed in the ship and got out, it'd scare you to death. Even though their energy is very high, because these implants would kick in and your body would be running the other way even though you want to stay. So these have to be removed. These have to be out of the way. And you're looking down on your body from 10,000 feet. They're hovering beside you still. They have this beautiful body, man and woman, perfectly handsome, perfectly beautiful, about 36, nicely dressed, and there's you. And then you have a body that looks just like theirs, about 36, beautiful, perfect, flawless, trim, everything. Because it's how you show yourself to others. The human bodies came from this pure projection of a human form and were developed on a genetic or a molecular time-space level in the lower planes. That was the job of the Say race and other races several billions of years ago. Ambassador Trillian's body that he's showing you, he doesn't have one anymore. Over 1 billion years ago, and they aren't from our galaxy originally, they're human. You have their DNA in you. So do reptilians and grays and tall whites, by the way. That was all done for all of them. The reptilians were vegetarians and great beings at a time. Some of them still are. This mixes up people on Earth because the negative side of, say, tall whites and grays and reptilians is a small faction compared to those that never were part of that. Those races do not come to Earth and never have. Tyrant races have, and then they were kicked out of here. But not by us, not by our military, not by classified people, because they didn't know how to do it. They were taken off world by races that needed them gone before we can begin to change. The effect of what they've done took place even sometimes long before you were incarnated on this planet. Forced to be incarnated, I might add. It was not your free will choice. No one in their right mind would come here voluntarily to be shut down by some archangel and be dumber than a damn brick and know nothing they knew before and then try to get it right. That's impossible. You can't get it right. So you're with me so far? Okay. You're in space, but it doesn't appear black to you here. It's a white golden light everywhere because you're an Atma. You can see it. You've still got this beautiful female form projected out in front of the Atma you are. So does Shantiel and Tonatiel standing beside you. I am further to the right. There are other beings further to the left. There's Et and Din hovering high above the sphere that is Ambassador Trillian, and up higher is Satnam. Bronze skin, bald head, 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms, little white tunic dress from his waist to his ankles. Strong, muscular, just what he chooses to show people. He looks like he's from India, but he's got gold eyes and bronze skin, no wrinkles, looks to be about 36. But there's a beautiful big Atma hovering above him. This is actually what people, beyond what people pray to as a supreme being. And yet he is a subordinate to beings above him. So you need to understand how this works, or remember it rather. So Tyrellian's showing you a body they immortalized over 1 billion years. How'd they do it? Well, they knew they were Atmas. The bodies they had developed, which was the prototype for developing 2-stranded, 4-stranded other DNAs, races that travel in the stars in our galaxy were developed by them originally, both in the physical and astral planes. They are a most ancient race, so humans are probably one of the most ancient races in existence. They are not new. Every race represented on Earth could not have evolved. Keep your eyes closed. Keep looking, keep knowing. Could not have evolved under one sun, on one Earth, one moon, in one atmosphere. They all represent different forms of humanity or human beings that come from different star systems, were brought here during 65 million years one way or another, or brought here in colonizations, or brought here by tyrants as slaves to do mining. Because under treaty, different races had the right to come here in small areas, but no race was allowed to dominate this world. It was like Switzerland, hands-off, neutral. That came about at the end of a great war 500,000 years ago in our galaxy. That treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. So something else is being done now because they're intervening and keeping tyrants from coming here now. Our system, our solar system that you see out in space, see the Earth, the Moon, the Sun, the stars? When you look out in space, you can see billions of suns, stars, big blue, young, hot white stars, big yellow suns, much bigger than our sun, red dwarfs and red giants, and they're all colorful out there. There are planets circling all those suns, far more advanced races than we are. China and Russia and the United States do not know it, but they're all together in a train running at 150 miles an hour into a brick wall because they're never going to be allowed to play among the stars the way we are. The most quarantined race in the system now is not reptilians. They're already being taken care of. It's Earth people. Sadistic, diabolical. Leaders of both politics and religions making decisions every day based really truthfully on fear, which means it's wrong and means it's destructive. No good outcome can come from making decisions based on fear. That is impossible. So Earth needs to be, in a sense, turned around by beings out in the greater God, or Earth people will cease to be on this planet. And as I've said, it would not be the first time. So you need to recover not only your solar system history, but more importantly, your galactic and cosmic history. You lived it. It was you. When I ask you how old you are out here in space, I'm not asking you how old your body is. Forget that. If you are a spherical being made of, and you are, the same energy as the source itself, identical, like a sphere, like a drop of the same energy in a mighty ocean of it, which you are, then you were at the beginning before the worlds of time and space were even constructed. We are responsible for the experiment of good and evil and its failure. If we want to change it, we have to go back to source and help the source change it, because it has broken itself up, let's say, as a way of an analogy, into all these individuals, both animals and plants and trees and people. They are supposed to be going back across the void to source, downloading their collective information so that it knows how to change the present into a better future. It's left up to us. And people have not been doing that in the lower worlds. That's why they are considered a trap for the Atma. All of this is reversible. Now we're going to get to something more focused. You see a white golden light around you, but it has a sound too. The whole physical universe makes a sound like soft rumbling thunder with no lightning. It's everywhere, and it's soothing and uplifting. It's not frightening. So Shantiel and Tonatiel standing beside you, they have slightly bigger eyes than humans in the forms they're showing you. And guess what? The form you're showing them has slightly bigger eyes than the ones you have on Earth as well. More alien in nature, really. And so they're pointing out in space further away from this circle of beings. Master Ramu's near the Earth, Master Opelum's further out, Et and Din are hovering up there, Satnam's further up. Shantiel and Tonatiel are beside you. I'm a little just beside them. You look out in space and there's a disc-shaped ship about 30 feet across hovering there. It's got a blue-gray metallic hull. It's a carbon fiber metallurgy. It's something we borrowed from them. And has a blue anti-gravitic light around it. And you can see through the hull because you are an Atma. You're not made of matter like that ship is. And in the ship are 4 couples. 3 are standing behind a semicircular control console with luminous faceted crystals they're touching. There's another couple sitting in a lounge in the back with their heads to their chest, apparently asleep. And you look to your left and right and realize that's Shantiel and Tonatiel. They are out of their bodies. The Atma they are hovering above them. You begin to understand why implants can't be removed on Earth. It not only takes a greater technological understanding that is not on Earth, done by beings who don't have subconscious minds at all. It's illegal. Only tyrants create that stuff. And so you're out in space and you realize that these beings, well, really, they're showing you an energy form that looks like them, but their bodies are actually there on the ship. That ship is one of a number that patrol our solar system. They come from an Emerald Star cruiser in the ice rings of Saturn. It's on the front cover of the Ceres Agenda book. Right there. That's one of the smaller ones. Some of them are 10 miles long. They're cylindrical and bridge controls on each end. They have no open launch bay doors. They're designed to go through interdimensional doorways that the silent mentors I told you about manage. You want to go through them, you better be respectful and know who's there, or you're not going anywhere. So he's showing you a body that was immortalized by breaking down the components of the DNA with the help of the Hue when they were out of their bodies as Atmas. And they stored that pattern in one of the teardrops in the yellow layer just outside the white core of their being. And so when they want to manifest a body to show it to us, if they manifest it on Earth, you could walk up and touch it. They just draw from the power of the Hue, which isn't their power, and it puts together this form so you can see it. So that's one way of immortalizing a body. The Zion Ternamus I told you about done it another way. Master Pelham has an immortalized body. Ramu has an immortalized body. Etta and Dindu. But they actually have physical bodies as well on their worlds. They did this by turning on a certain switch for the telomeres on the each end of the DNA. In humans on Earth, the telomere shrinks whenever the cells divide. That was tyrant manipulation, control. In normal people, the telomere does not shrink when cells divide, so they do not age. That's under their volitional control. Someone has a bad organ after 2,000 years, like a heart. They grow that, which they're working on Earth, from that person's own T cells. They grow it from their immune system won't attack it, and they use equipment to transport the molecules to simultaneously removing the bad organ, puts it right in place. There's no invasive surgery whatsoever. That's easy stuff. That's old ancient stuff, not new. Out here in this hue, this pure hue, truth cannot elude you. You know it instantly because you always did. That's because right now your secondary and primary implants are being kept off. Fear is not interfering with your knowing. So Chantel and Tonitra are pining now, and you remember you have this body form that looks young and perfect, healthy and beautiful, about 36, and you're looking up at your own Atma. Now around the outside of the Atma is this electromagnetic field. It looks just like the one that surrounds the planet Earth because they're identical. That electromagnetic field is the hue in a form that runs through a north and south pole of a being or a planet so it can float relative position with other things in this omnipresent hue energy. Hue comes from the first half of the word hue, human, hidden in plain sight. And when you use it right, it opens a doorway to your pineal gland so that your experience starts to become conscious. Not just identifying with going to sleep. That's what people do. They put their body to sleep. They think they're a body. They don't remember what soul is or Atma. And then they go unconscious. They really are out experiencing things. But fear keeps them from bringing what they're doing back to the body in the morning. We're supposed to be bringing enlightenment back to this one body and brain that couldn't have learned much of that at all in one lifetime. The mind, by the way, is not in your brain. It's in the electromagnetic field that surrounds the body, much bigger than what people on Earth think of as an aura. And it's the same around the Atma that's running the body. Implants are out in that field of energy. So now when you look up at the Atma you are, so you have an objective way of seeing what's being done. You're going to see 3 foot-wide oval white spheres of light in that electromagnetic field, 2/3 of the way out from the outer surface of your Atma in a triangular pattern. There's one down just below the level of the equator of your being to the left, 2/3 of the way out, one to the right, and one behind you up higher on the other side of your being. And there's a white energy connecting them. They surround the Atma, but they don't go through it. The Atma cannot be implanted. Nothing negative can enter it. It is not made of matter, energy, space, and time. But things can be put around it in that field through which you get misdirected or terrorized not to remember who you are. That's the problem. So Chantel and Tonaltial, highly trained, do not have subconscious minds. They did not grow up on Earth. They do not have implants. They've been trained for decades, sometimes 100 years or more, just to do this work. They know what they're doing. They're going to move you up this physical form you have, taking you by the hand. They're bringing you right inside your electromagnetic field. And then he is reaching in and pulling out this oval white light, placing it in your hands. And she's putting her hand under your hands and kind of turning it on. They do it different ways for everyone. They have fun with it. And then you can see what's in it. Now usually, from what I've found so far, what are in these implants are beautiful memories you had that you really lived. Nothing negative. But they're being used against you because behind it was programmed a terrorizing field of energy you can't see. It's subconscious. So that when you try to remember this, you'll turn away. You'll go watch TV. You'll go eat a hot dog. You'll go do whatever you do. instead of really recovering the memory. And it's frustrating to people because they can't remember what seems to be just out of their reach. So you're looking into this thing, and then you begin to see you as a woman with long braided hair down each side. And the hair is kind of well, it's kind of like brunette, but it has a yellow highlight to it. And you're maybe 6 feet tall. You're standing in the middle of a field of flowers that surround you. The flowers, like on many worlds, unlike Earth, because of the nature of the water that's charged, have a luminosity to them. These flowers are 4 feet across and 6 feet high and 4 feet high, and they're out in this field, and you're just walking through this little green mossy path through them, and you look up at the sky and you realize this is not Earth. There are 3 suns up there, different sizes, different distances, and this world is turning slowly as they move across the sky. You look out into the horizon and you see that you are in a circle of mountains that circle around you in this massive valley. And there are several rivers coming down from these mountains that form into an oval luminous lake, blue-green, and it runs out towards a gap in the mountains and out to an ocean. The ocean is luminous a foot above the waves, which are calm because the hue keeps them calm. As I said, Earth's oceans are depleted. This can all be changed, but not by people on Earth. That's never going to happen. It has to be brought to Earth. And that means Earth people, including political and religious leaders, which this work is for too, by the way, and for the animals. So you're looking at this, and it's just a wonderful life. Now, you might have a family or children, but they're not in this image. This is just you out kind of contemplating on the beauty of what surrounds you. And you notice that you are an Atma hovering above this body, and you know it. Now, this is a beautiful experience, something you would not want to get rid of had you, by some miracle, woken it up or gone into your subconscious and found it. But it's not something you would want to get rid of. That's the problem. You don't want it there. The experience is still contained and stored in a teardrop in the Atma of your being. It's not lost. But the negative part that was abused in this image and taken from you is not good. So, Tonal Teal is simply waving her hand over it and giggling. And it disintegrates into these little drops of blue, like teardrops, and then dissolves into the white golden light around us. The energy of the hole where it was in the electromagnetic field seals itself. Knows what it's doing. So that's gone forever. That means these 3 are not working. We have 2 more we need to get rid of, though. We're going to move to the right side, 2/3 of the way out in the electromagnetic field. Remember, this is outside the outer surface of your being. Implants are never in it. They're outside of it. And they're not in bodies on Earth. That's the problem. And they're moving you up inside this, and Tonal Teal is reaching in and lifting out this oval white sphere and holding it up in front of you. John Teal comes up and just touches it, turns it on. And you're looking into this scene where you are on it's a saucer-shaped ship about 1,000 feet wide, and it's floating on a calm, blue-green, luminous ocean. This is a different world, another time. This one's 2/3 of the way towards the galactic core. And it is a trinary sun system, too. Most suns are outside of our solar system. So this is your own Galactic Alliance history. These were things you went through. You've been terrorized to look at. So when you're looking at this, looking out from this boat, and you're on a balcony level, there's a bunch of people around you. Beautiful beings, 36 to 40, stately, elegant, different sheer, form-fitting clothing. There's a couple Galactic Alliance people members behind you. You're wearing this elegant, how do I describe it? It's a dress that when you move in the light, it shimmers like an aurora borealis. It's really great. I mean, it's just technology, but when you're breathing the air here, it's charged with the hue. You can see this golden essence in the atmosphere that's blue and slightly green. It's like the blue-green water out there. There's water vapor in the atmosphere. There is a secret to hydrogen and oxygen combined in the form of water because it becomes a storehouse for not only the hue, but for memory like a computer. Fifth-dimensional, five-dimensional energy. You're going to find this out. Professor Gerald Pollack at Washington State University has figured this out. I met him. We were at the Finland conference together. I helped set that up. Great being funded the whole thing at his expense. He didn't make money on it. Ervin Laszlo is a quantum physicist, maybe 70, 80 books out, lives in Italy. He was there. I presented to these people. Whenever I went on these journeys, 3 Galactic Alliance scout craft went with me. That's just how it worked. So, you are enjoying this pleasure cruise, I guess you could call it, on a type of a craft that doesn't need to pilot its way from a stern and a stem and a rudder. No, it has an anti-gravitic light around it. It moves in, under, or on the waves or up into space. But this is how this one is utilized. Great experience, wonderful life. Behind it is torture, terror, death, and I will eat you or kill you if you try to remember. So the image and the scene and the memory is good, but what's behind it used against you. You don't want it there. You don't want it there. So, Shantiel and Tonaltiel are asking you to send the hue into it. So this physical form that looks like you can even do it from, well, just do it from there. You send the hue into it, they look at it, and it disintegrates in like a little waterfall of blue, green, violet energy that pours downward and disappears into the hue that surrounds us. It's returned to source energy like it should be. The hole where it was is gone. We have one more to get rid of, and we're moving up around the backside of the electromagnetic field outside your being, out in space, turning around and looking at this one that's up 2/3 of the way up there. And then they have their hands under your hands, and they're moving this physical-like form you have under it. You're lifting it out yourself. You're co-creatively helping remove this one with them. You're co-creatively involved. And then they have you look into it, and it turns on. This time, you're on a world by an emerald green beach that curves like a half moon and then curves way out into the distance. There's several islands with dome cities on it in the distance. And you look behind you and there's 3 big dome cities out in the jungle in clearings and 3 snow-capped mountain ranges behind them. You're looking in the atmosphere. It's just beginning to be dusk. And you can see this ocean out there that has almost a soft lavender color. And it's luminous. The waterfalls coming down the mountains in the background are luminous because they're highly charged. You understand this. I know you do. They glow when they have enough hue in them. People that bathe or drink or live in those waters always remember their connection to source. It's impossible not to. When you're on a planet that has this depleted, it's almost impossible to remember. Despite implants, it's just not enough energy. So, in front of you, where you're standing, yeah, it looked to be about 40 maybe. I'd say you're probably about, I don't know, 2,000 years old maybe. And you're looking at this, how do I put it? They look like birds. They're on little stone perches with their claws. They look like a blue jay. These are throughout the multiverse and even in the higher worlds because they're a beautiful form. They have long V-shaped split tails, rainbow colored bodies with more colors than you see in the spectrum of light. Big blue eyes, two sets of wings, one above the other, one below it, and they move them together like a dragonfly, but they're hovering on these perches like a hummingbird. And you're looking at all of them one after another. Two are females, one's a male, and then they land and perch. And then what startles you from Earth is that you are an Atma hovering above this alien human woman form. Atmas are hovering above them, and they have vocal cords. They're speaking with you. These are your dear friends. You go up and snuggle them and pet them, and they give you a little kiss and a little peck, and they rub their necks on you, and they're dear friends. But it's the Atma you are and the Atma they are that's relating here. The bodies are just the form they're running for the time to experience what it's like to respect all life, not just human. This takes place a lot in the Satnam's realm above the void, where people can learn to respect all life and embrace a bigger God and gain the freedom that goes with it. The thing about gaining back absolute freedom is that absolute responsibility goes with it. They're married, intertwined. So it's a great experience, but again, you don't want it there. The memory of it is there in you, but the energy behind it, this hologram of perverted energy, this thing about secondary implants is they are not your own experiences. They're artificial. They aren't even yours. So we don't care what's in them. We don't want to look at it. They're asking you to send the hue into this one, and you do this, and then you realize that the power coming through Satnam, through Ambassador Terrellian, through me and others, is going through this white sphere of nonsense and disintegrating in an upward whirlpool like a tornado, then it vanishes. Becomes the white golden light around us. And Chantal and Tonfliar starts dancing and singing. It's so uplifting to release the hue that's been trapped this way. Now these 3 secondary implants are gone forever. This cannot be reversed, and they can never be done to you again because you're plugged into the omnipresent hue. And the source itself, including Satnam, are aware of you. So as you move forward from this point, if you ask every night, the beings you've been introduced here to, you can call by name. Ask them to take you further, to get you ready for a time when you'll co-create, sitting in a white chair, to go through the primary implant. A primary implant is a pyramidal-shaped, 4-sided golden pyramid with a quartz cap above the north pole of the electromagnetic field, not in the Atma. And there's one pointing downward in the south pole. They work through the energy field. They're turned off. Those contain your actual torture, death experience that ended up putting you here with no memory, one way or the other. Now, for right now, because the secondary implants are gone, you have the true volitional free will to stop the old habit of looking into the stuff you know is there, and because it gets turned on by your attention. It's a computer program in a way. And if you look at it, it turns it on. So you want to stop the compulsive behavior of doing that and just keep it off. And if you have trouble, send out the hue. Go to my website at paralleltime.com. Play the hue recording of my voice sent out in 3-part harmony. Or just go look at a waterfall or a baby smile or something. Just turn it off. Now, the other thing you're going to find, in a few days, you're going to find your IQ has gone way up. Your ability to comprehend this journey when you play it back in a few days is going to go way up. It's going to be like, oh my God, I've always known this is easy. Because that's how subtle it is. But it is permanent. It cannot be reversed. So now you understand why these must be removed out here. There will come a time when this technology will be available to everybody on Earth when they're ready to receive it. First, they have to be ready. Go through some spiritual shocks, so to speak, in order to be able to accept, even if it makes them nervous to the bone. Okay? So when you're back on Earth, you're hovering above your body, and Chantil and tonality are still there. There's a white golden light coming down through you, through the electromagnetic energy, that magnetic field around your body, through the same one around your through the atma that's hovering near the ceiling. And then it's passing through you for your benefit and on your way to benefit someone else. It ends up ending up in the shaft of the galaxy, the white golden light. It's not a black hole. That's only you and I trying to look at it. It's a brilliant golden white light, and it goes back up to source. You are now starting to fulfill your purpose for existing. You are meant to go back to the source and upload your unique self into that source. You don't lose yourself, but you contribute to helping change things here this way by helping to retire the old failed experiment of good and evil and replacing it with the Hue expansion ray, which is working through the cosmos now in only one direction, and it cannot be reversed. Fortunately for us. When you're ready, open your eyes. Now, you can turn on your mic. If you can see to turn on your mic, turn on your mic. Now,
Here we are.
that is a secondary implant removal journey.
Wow.
Now,
Well, I've read your book, so.
Oh, that's good, because now when you read them, you're going to comprehend everything in them. It's going to be amazing to you.
Yeah, I remember the green, blue ocean and the cities and all the things that you were saying. But now rereading it will make a lot more sense.
And these three were subconscious memories that belong to you. They are no longer subconscious. So give yourself a little time, get a cup of tea, turn off the phones, go on it again. You'll find out a lot more happened than you remember right now. But when you go through it the second time, you're going to find that you understand all of it. Like, I always knew this. It'd be just like easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do I find the recording?
At paralleltime.com.
Oh, and it's just there for everybody?
Yeah, it's, you look under About Scott Hugh. Click it on, and it's got two recordings. My voice in three-part harmony sending out the hue in a loop, so it's continuous. You'll notice there's a tone running through the middle of it. Ambassador Trillian put that there. It was not recorded in the recordings.
Oh.
So it's helpful. And then there's another one of me sending out the hue and stopping for a while. Sending out the hue and stopping to give people a pause. They can do whatever they want with them. There's no charge.
Yeah, you do the hue in different, you start low and you go higher, 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 higher.
No, I do that. I'm going to do that right now for you. But I don't do that. It's the constant tone. They're three-part harmony singing together.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Why not? It's fun to do. Let's put it in the recording. Let's do it. Let's just put it in the recording. Okay, wait a second. Just a minute. You can see the website, yes?
Yes, let me change it so I can read it. Yes.
And there's a donate button if you ever want to contribute. That's there too. It's very easy. But you already have. See About Scott Hugh. You click on that, and it goes to this.
Okay.
If you click on this, here's what happens. That's one. This is the other one. it's continuous
That's beautiful.
for about 24 minutes. And when you play
Wow.
it, you're going to notice there's a third round whole tone running through the middle of it.
How do you do that? It's all your voice. You do it.
I'm a singer, I'm a musician, I'm a composer. I sang those parts. I send them out. So
But
before we end, I'm going to do this for you. You, you, we'll make
wow.
what that will do is it connects the doorways between dimensions to help you remember the bodies you're running, other than the physical, as a single atma. Physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric. Then it goes
Yeah.
into the realm of Satnam, goes up through the U Expansionary Academy, up through the six and other realms, up through Agam Purusha's realm, into the ocean of sound and light, Source, Prime Creator.
Hmm.
You'll find this out by your own direct experience anyway, so it's all good. Okay, I'm going to bring this recording.